Hey guys, I'm finally back. It's been a while and I owe you guys a huge thank you for being here while I was gone. I know the hiatus took longer than expected, but trust me, I've been leveling up Raza Studios, building new projects and videos that'll blow your mind. To say thanks, I've made a fan-free gift inspired by the Shadow Monarch himself as my way of showing appreciation towards you guys. You can grab it right now in my link in the bio, and trust me, this is just the beginning. Again, thank you. I hope you guys enjoyed the video.
We begin in the frigid heart of Russia, the snow-blanketed Kremlin Palace, where Prime Minister Yuri Orlov, a man who rose from the gutters to become the nation's dictator, is jolted awake from a nightmare. His forehead is drenched in cold sweat, and he momentarily questions if it was all just a dream. Despite his luxurious surroundings and prestigious title, the darkness of his past clings to him, manifesting in his sleep as tormenting visions of the life he tried to bury. Plagued by lingering fear, Yuri drowns his anxiety in alcohol, gulping down $10,000 worth of scotch like water. The man who once couldn't even afford to sniff fine liquor now smashes bottles of it without hesitation, trying to assert that his current lavish reality is all that matters. But the illusion of control quickly cracks. As servants rush in to clean up the broken glass, it becomes clear this isn't the first time. The attendants are used to his rage, his outbursts, and more disturbingly, his pleasure in watching them grovel. The once forgotten beggar now relishes the sight of others submitting to him. Though Yuri tries to anchor himself in wealth and power, it's not enough to silence the ghosts of his past, particularly the haunting memories of the name he once bore on the streets. Malenki Tsar, or Little Emperor. 3 years before he awakened, Yuri Orlov was nothing more than human trash. A nameless street urchin surviving the brutal Russian cold through desperation, alcoholism, and violence. At age 9, he committed his first murder, not out of malice, but for something as simple as a piece of bread. The murder wasn't immediate, but the combination of blunt force trauma and Siberian frost claimed the victim's life days later. Yet what horrifies most isn't the act itself. It's that young Yuri laughed at the sight of the corpse. That laugh was his awakening, not to magic or power, but to the fragility of human life. From that moment, his worldview changed. Every rich man on the street, every citizen who looked down on him, they could all be ended with a single brick. And thus began Yuri's rise in the alleys, one brick at a time. By age 12, Yuri Orlov had built a kingdom, not one of walls or armies, but of fear. He extorted weaker beggars, brutally suppressed dissent, and constructed a hierarchy of control. The weak begged, the strong collected. And at the top sat Yuri, the Little Emperor, enforcing discipline with ritual cruelty. The most haunting example was Mikhail, a young beggar who once dared to disobey. Yuri locked him in a basement without food, not behind a locked door, but an open one. Instead of trying to escape, Mikhail remained inside, broken by fear. Yuri cemented his authority by drawing a single line on the floor, an invisible wall, and declaring, "Cross this and you die." No one ever crossed it. This psychological domination birthed Yuri's first real barrier, not magical like the ones used by hunters, but one made of terror. His prison was invisible, yet more powerful than steel. But empires built on fear are destined to fall. Russians, Yuri notes bitterly, grow up fast, even the beggars. And soon, the once small Mikhail outgrew his oppressor. On a cold Siberian night, he picked up a brick and, trembling from years of repressed fear, shattered the reign of the Little Emperor. From that moment on, Yuri Orlov's real nightmare began. He had lost everything, and though years passed, the trauma never left. Now, even as Russia's prime minister, he remains gripped by the memory of that cold betrayal. He swears to find Mikhail wherever he is and exact revenge. Snapping out of his thoughts, Yuri once again throws a bottle of liquor against the wall. A servant hurries in to clean it, but this time a secretary follows, bearing grim news. Yuri dismisses him irritably until he sees what's playing on the giant wall-mounted television. Breaking news reports from across the world. The Apostles of Conquest, mysterious magical beings who recently launched coordinated attacks on major cities, have all been exterminated. Thomas Andre, the Goliath of America, took down an apostle at the Statue of Liberty. Cha Hyan, now revealed to be an S-rank hunter, eliminated all magical beasts in Korea. And Liu Zhigang has been officially recognized as a 7-star hunter by the Chinese government for his contributions. Yuri watches this unfold with disdain.
Apostles, all talk.
Seeing the corpses of the once feared apostles of conquest strewn across battlefields, his drunken haze evaporates. The enemies he once feared have fallen like insects, leaving one truth clear to Yuri.
This is why the only one I can trust is myself.
His eyes gleam coldly as the chapter ends. The madness of a man both haunted by the past and emboldened by a dangerous paranoia. As the world breathes a cautious sigh of relief in the aftermath of the near second cataclysm, breaking news floods global media. The monstrous butterfly swarm, unleashed by the Apostle of Conquest, has been wiped out with astonishing speed. Across the globe, S-rank hunters and national forces have quelled the threat, and humanity's survival seems secure, at least for now. But inside the snow-laden Kremlin palace, Prime Minister Yuri Orlov watches the news with disgust, not for the destruction caused, but for the apostles' pathetic failure. He ridicules the so-called Apostle of Conquest, a being that once swaggered like a god and died like a fool. There's no grief, only bitterness and mockery. Orlov is no stranger to the outer gods. In fact, for years, he had secretly brokered deals with their apostles. Unlike cultists who bowed to these cosmic horrors, Orlov saw no need to worship. He treated them as business partners, tools for his own survival and ambition. Their divine power was a currency, and Earth itself was the bargaining chip. Orlov's nihilism is rooted in his past. As a former beggar, he once prayed daily for the world to burn, for everyone to suffer as he had. But the world never changed. No god had answered, until he discovered the outer gods of Itarim, actual entities from beyond the universe who did want Earth destroyed. Orlov, seeing kindred spirits in them, happily struck deals. But make no mistake, he never admired them. He hated their arrogance just as much as he hated humanity. Their downfall? Deserved. Yet their demise came with a price. The global chaos, which Orlov had hoped would serve as a distraction from Russia's refusal to act on the Elven Woods, ended far too soon. Other nations had been sending hunters to investigate and destroy the mysterious, magical trees that had sprouted across the planet. Russia, conspicuously, had not. That silence had drawn growing suspicion from the World Hunter Association and other nations. But thanks to the Apostle of Conquest's sudden invasion, all scrutiny had shifted away, for a moment. Now, with the Apostle defeated and global attention settling once more, Orlov knows time is running out. The spotlight will return to Russia soon, and with it, dangerous questions. Thus, he moves. He pulls aside a velvet curtain to reveal a glowing digital world map dotted with red points. These are his fishbowls, cloaked facilities spread across Russia, designed for a singular, unknown purpose. Most are decoys, fake outposts to mislead the apostles. But one red dot shines brighter than the rest. This one is real. The Apostle of Conquest had too many eyes, too many clones and avatars scattered across the world. Launching this operation earlier would have risked exposure. But now, with all clones eradicated, the time is right. With chilling determination, Orlov presses the red button on his desk.
Execute the operation. Now, Project Antheater in Spring begins.
What this project entails remains a mystery, but its timing and secrecy imply massive consequences for humanity. And Orlov intends to wield it like a blade. Cut to a warm, quiet apartment far from the Kremlin's shadows. Sung Suho, the protagonist and son of the legendary Shadow Monarch, finally returns home. The moment he opens the door, a familiar warmth envelops him. The scent of rice cooking, the sound of side dishes sizzling. It's domestic peace, almost unreal after the chaos of war. And then he hears it.
Are you home?
It's Cha Hayan, his mother. She stands in the kitchen, smiling with a ladle in hand, exactly like she did years ago. Before she disappeared, before the trials, before the global catastrophes. She's not just a hunter or a hero here. She's just Mom.
You've been through a lot, my son.
Those simple words break Suho. With a choked voice, he replies,
I'm home.
Years of turmoil, battle, and solitude melt into that one exchange. Though they've already reunited in the chaos, this is the first time it's felt real. A family dinner, a moment of normalcy, and the rest of the family soon follows. Suho's grandmother greets him with warmth and concern, fussing over his weight like any doting elder. His grandfather, Sung Il-hwan, watches with soft understanding in his eyes. Though known as a warrior on the news, here, he's simply Grandpa. Aunt Sung Jina, Sung Jinwoo's younger sister, playfully scolds Suho, relieved and amused. And Yu Jinho, the lovable uncle-in-law, is as doting and overprotective as ever, examining Suho for injuries like a worried father. We are reminded of how much Gina has endured quietly over the years. With her brother, sister-in-law, and parents gone for long stretches of time, she carried the weight of the family's silence. All she could do was smile for Suho and tell him,
Don't worry. The adults will take care of it.
she modeled strength, an ordinary woman carrying extraordinary burdens. Gina now reflects on her own growth. After entering the Tower of Trials, she finally understood the weight her brother bore and why he vanished. Her popularity has exploded online because of it. Millions now follow her as the sister of the Shadow Monarch.
Suho, these days, people won't stop DMing me. I've gone viral thanks to that damned tower.
Even Jinho sighs in mock regret, joking that he should have tampered with memories more. But then he turns to Suho with rare seriousness.
You've worked hard, Suho. Your dad, too, would say that you're doing well.
That one line finally allows Suho to breathe. From the shadows, Baru, ever faithful and emotional, sobs,
Thou speakest true. The king will surely deem the young master praiseworthy.
The shadow soldiers cry quietly with him. After everything, they too find solace in this rare moment of peace. As the meal winds down, the doorbell rings. Jinho casually gets up to answer, thinking it might be a food delivery. But his eyes sharpen instantly. The warmth vanishes from his face. Standing at the door are three legendary figures from across the ocean. David Brennan, the President of the United States. Adam White, the ever-determined agent from the United States Hunter Bureau. And Norma Selner, the elusive spiritual figure known for her mysterious ability to awaken potential in hunters. These three never leave the United States unless something world-shatteringly important is at stake. And they've come for Sung Suho. The chapter opens not in Korea, but in a quiet suburban neighborhood in the United States, where two heavily guarded black vehicles roll through a peaceful street. The scene might appear mundane until the door opens and out steps none other than the President of the United States, accompanied by Adam White, Director of the Hunter Management Bureau. Despite the heavy security detail and heightened alert due to recent global chaos, the President brushes them off. His destination? A quaint red-roofed house that blends into the neighborhood, except for one small detail. This is the home of Norma Selner, the psychic, prophet, and clairvoyant, whose words have quietly steered the most powerful nation on Earth. The President, David Brennan, exchanges warm banter with a young man who welcomes him at the door, likely Norma's grandson. The mood is light, almost nostalgic, as they enter the home where fresh cookies and tea await. But the gravity of their visit soon reasserts itself. Norma Selner sits in a wheelchair, frail yet composed. Her guests are some of the most powerful people in the world, and yet her presence commands the room. President Brennan cuts to the chase. Something unnatural, something unexplainable, has been detected at the North Pole. Even scientists have no explanation for it. This anomaly isn't just a climate event. It's something otherworldly. That's why they're here. Only Selner, with her clairvoyance, might know the truth. But her response is both cryptic and chilling.
You must ask someone else. You must ask Sung Suho.
Both Brennan and Adam White are stunned. Why would the Korean S-rank hunter, still new to the global stage, be the key to understanding an Arctic phenomenon? The tension in the room deepens. Adam White's expression tightens. He knows that if Selner is invoking Suho, it means the crisis is far more dangerous than they assumed. Before they can question further, Norma pivots the conversation in a shocking direction.
Have you played solo leveling Ragnarok?
The President is bewildered. A game? Now? But as Selner mentions it, something clicks. The game, a worldwide phenomenon, was developed using Shadow Monarch technology and rumored to awaken people artificially. Though controversial, the US government has compiled extensive reports on it. It's no ordinary VR simulation. Selner smiles gently and says,
That game helps us remember the past we've forgotten, the history that was erased.
Her words are not metaphorical. Norma Selner reveals that solo leveling, Ragnarok is not just entertainment. It's a memory preservation device, a living archive of the true history of Earth before its timeline was rewritten. A world of despair, sacrifice, and war. A world where Sung Jinwoo bore the weight of humanity alone.
Within that game are memories of the one we owe everything to.
She speaks of him, the Shadow Monarch, the one who saved the world, a man whose deeds have been forgotten by time and reality alike, except within the code of a game. To reveal that history directly would cause chaos. Families would be torn apart by the re-emergence of deaths that no longer happened. But through a game, people are gently reintroduced to the pain, the glory, and the truth, bit by bit. And the one behind that plan? Sung Suho, his son. Selner reveals that the game was Suho's gift to his father, a monument disguised as a virtual world, a way to ensure his father's lonely journey was not forgotten, and that all of humanity could one day empathize with the burden he carried. Norma Selner turns to President Brennan and Adam White.
We must go to Korea. We must meet Sung Suho.
Their jaws drop. It's one of the most dangerous times in recent memory. Just days ago, magical butterfly monsters invaded the Earth. Most major airports are shut down. But Selner is firm. Her suitcases are already packed. The president and Adam White exchange uneasy glances. The idea of putting the world's most important prophet on a commercial or private flight in such chaos is unthinkable. Yet they hesitate to refuse. Why? Because Norma Selner's prophecies always come true. And just as they begin to voice their concerns, a new presence fills the room like a thunderclap.
Going to Korea.
The voice is deep, commanding, familiar. They turn, and standing there without anyone having noticed his arrival is none other than Thomas Andre, the Titan, the monarch of conquest, the man who turned into a giant taller than the Statue of Liberty just days ago and fought off the invaders above New York. Bodyguards burst in, alarmed. Some even prepare to defend the president. But it's futile. Nothing can stop Thomas if he truly wanted to act. But he's not here as an enemy. He looks at Norma Selner and smiles.
Grandma, do you speak Korean?
She chuckles. It was she who had once urged him to learn Korean. She responds fluently.
I have been waiting, Thomas. Would you open a gate for me?
And with that, Thomas agrees without hesitation. He turns to his shadow, where a shadow soldier has been hiding.
Take me to Suho.
The soldier nods, and moments later, a gate of darkness swirls open in the room. The president, Adam White, and Selner now stand on the precipice of a journey, one that could change the course of history yet again. The chapter opens with Norma Selner, Adam White, and Thomas Andre arriving at Sung Suho's house, welcomed in by Yoo Jinho. It seems like a peaceful family home, but appearances are deceiving. To most outsiders, the scene might look like a simple domestic gathering. But to those with knowledge and awareness, this house has become the most fortified and dangerous place on Earth, a convergence point of humanity's greatest powers. Sung Il-hwan, the dual-dagger warrior who once traversed dimensions, his strength said to rival the legendary Liu Zhigang. Cha Hyen, now called the Empress of Lightning, capable of commanding a dragon and storms alike. Yoo Jinho, not just Suho's uncle, but the genius CEO of Ajin Soft and creator of the Tower of Trial system that revolutionized human awakening. And of course, Sung Suho, the successor to the Shadow Monarch. Even Adam White, seasoned director of the U.S. Hunter Bureau, is quietly panicking. He realizes he is in the presence of what amounts to a living nuclear stockpile.
This isn't a house. It's a fortress made of human warheads.
Amid this tense atmosphere, Norma Selner finally meets Sung Suho, the man she foresaw before his birth, one she prayed would survive because the world depended on it. She speaks to Suho in fluent Korean.
If you hadn't been born that day, this world would have been very, very different.
Selner reflects on the moment of his birth, which she foresaw as a pivotal cosmic event. Even back then, she knew that this child's existence would shape the fate of the universe. She turns to Cha Hyen, Suho's mother, and with utmost sincerity, bows and says,
Thank you for giving birth to him. You've done more for this world than you'll ever know.
It's a deeply moving moment, one that leaves the room quiet. Even Adam White, usually composed, begins to experience resurfacing fragments of memories from the old timeline, stirred perhaps by his brief connection to the Tower of Trials. As the room settles from the weight of prophecy, Suho's gaze falls on Selner's wheelchair. Though her age explains her frailty, It also prompts a decision Suho has postponed far too long.
It's time.
He says. Suho prepares to craft the Holy Water of Life, a mythical potion capable of healing any wound or curse, originally intended for Sung Jinwoo, whose body is ravaged by the unstable star pieces embedded within him. Ingredients assembled. Purified Demon King's blood, distilled from Esil's blood crystal. Fragment of the World Tree, gathered from the World Tree itself. Spring water from Echo Forest, transported regularly by Circa's people. These aren't just rare ingredients. They're cosmic in scale, containing the will of elves, demons, and primordial forests. Suho, now the guardian of the World Tree and monarch of transcendence, doesn't even need the system interface anymore. He begins to craft the elixir by sheer authority and understanding. Crafting successful. Holy Water of Life times 10 acquired. The result, 10 vials of gleaming, radiant water. Suho hands the first vial to Sung Jinwoo, who has pushed his body to the brink in battle after battle. Jinwoo doesn't hesitate. He drinks. A dazzling light engulfs him. The dimensional fractures covering his body begin to vanish. The volatile star pieces embedded in him melt down, no longer tearing at his flesh. In their place, pure divine energy takes root, coalescing, stabilizing, and transforming. Jinwoo doesn't just heal, he ascends. Thomas Andre, watching from the sidelines, recognizes this instantly.
He's becoming something else, something that isn't tied to the outer gods.
Jinwoo, who fought for so long as a man burdened by stolen power, is now reborn as a being of his own divine authority, an apostle-level force completely free from the Itarim or other gods.
The outer gods would be furious if they saw this.
Thomas says with a grin. Meanwhile, Suho quietly walks over and gives another vial to Norma Selner. A gift of gratitude for all her prayers, all her foresight, and the burden she silently carried. But while miracles are being born in Suho's home, a horror unfolds at the edge of the world. In a top-secret base beneath the North Pole, hidden under dozens of S-rank barriers, the Russian military, under Prime Minister Orlov's command, has begun Project Unwithering Spring. Inside the base, massive machines roar to life. At the heart of it is the Void Gate, a swirling rift of cosmic energy. What began as a mere experiment has grown into something far more dangerous. Essence stones and elvenwood are being force-fed into the machine, and the power being drawn from the other side is watching. Technicians begin to panic. Even Director Petrov, hardened and loyal, is sweating bullets. The gate pulses with light, shifting from dull gray to blinding white, like a sun ready to tear open a hole in reality. They don't know exactly what Orlov intends. But they do know one thing. Something is coming through. The chapter opens in quiet awe. Sung Jinwoo, once on the brink of bodily collapse due to the unstable star pieces embedded in him, now stands transformed, infused with luminous divine energy that pulses gently from his core. He exhales deeply, not in pain, but in relief. Even his wife, Park Kyung-hye, who had quietly watched him endure endless torment, rushes to his side in concern.
Are you okay?
With a soft smile, Jinwoo replies,
I feel refreshed, like I've been reborn.
The change isn't subtle. His posture, energy, and even his aura have evolved. What was once a man struggling to contain an unstable power has now become something greater. A fully harmonized vessel of divine strength, but with no allegiance to the outer gods. A new kind of entity. Beru chimes in to explain the transformation, reflecting on the holy water of life's efficacy. He even recalls how Cha Hyen had required multiple vials during childbirth with Suho, carrying a being who felt like the dawn of a new universe. Even Suho's birth was never just a personal miracle. It was cosmic. Now, Sung Il-hwan isn't just healed. His body feels lighter, his spirit stronger. His power, once borrowed from divine artifacts, now flows organically through him. Enter Thomas Andre, leaning on the wall, arms folded. He chuckles and says,
Congratulations on becoming the godless apostle.
a name as fitting as it is powerful. Unlike traditional apostles who serve outer gods or derive power through worship, Il-hwan now wields power without allegiance. It is purified, self-owned divine energy, a threat to the very gods who seek to dominate humanity. Adam White, still trying to process the spiritual and metaphysical scope of what he's seeing, nervously asks if Il-hwan could ever be corrupted again by the outer gods. The threat of future enthrallment lingers in his voice. Beru, with absolute certainty, dismisses the concern. The reason? The holy water of life is purified through a fragment of the world tree, an artifact created by the Itarim of this universe. Since the power has been cleansed at its root, it's no longer tethered to the Itarim beyond. In other words, Il-hwan's power is now wholly free. Just then, another quiet miracle unfolds. Norma Selner, who had quietly accepted the vial of holy water from Suho, begins to stand, unaided. Her old, weakened body, long confined to a wheelchair, now glows with vitality. While the holy water cannot reverse aging or restore youth, it revitalizes her to a state of strength and clarity she hadn't felt in decades. She walks on her own feet and bows deeply to Suho.
Thank you, Sung Suho. I don't know how to express my gratitude.
Selner hadn't come to Korea expecting healing. She came as a prophet, a messenger. And yet, she leaves renewed, her debt to the Shadow Monarch's family repaid not just in words, but in hope. Suho replies with humility.
Perhaps my father would have done the same if he were here.
Even Thomas Andre, ever stoic, turns his head, his ears going red as he tries, and fails, to hide his emotions. His secretary Laura teases.
Are you crying?
Of course not.
You know, as we age, our estrogen levels
I
rise.
said I'm not!
Moments of levity cut through the heaviness, showcasing the camaraderie and warmth that has come to define Suho's circle. Then Norma Selner makes a curious request.
Sung Suho, may I hold your hand?
Suho agrees, puzzled. As she clasps his hand, she murmurs,
I did this once with your father as well.
Years ago, Selner had once been known as the Upgrader, the only person capable of enhancing awakened beings, until now, when Yu Jinho holds that mantle. But this time, she isn't trying to upgrade Suho. She's trying to show him something.
I've sensed a gaze. Ominous. Constant. Watching. I want you to see it too.
She closes her eyes, her pupils flash white. The room vanishes. Suho is no longer in his living room. Though his eyes are closed, his consciousness is launched beyond time and space, past cities, past the planet, beyond galaxies. And there, hovering in the void, is a gigantic eye. Cold, detached, scientific. It is watching Earth like a researcher peering through a microscope. Suho feels the weight of its attention land directly on him.
It saw me.
And worse,
It smiled.
this isn't just a creature. It's not an apostle. This is Itarim, the entity beyond all apostles, a being whose gaze alone is a violation. Suho hears a chilling whisper.
The white abyss. The abyss shall see thee.
The vision ends. Suho jolts awake, his breathing ragged. But the sensation lingers.
Where is it now?
He demands. Norma Selner, her eyes still pale, turns her gaze north.
It's already this far. It's already begun.
Panic floods the room.
The North Pole!
She cries.
We must stop them immediately!
The tension explodes. Selner collapses from exhaustion, and Thomas Andre catches her. Suho, eyes aflame, turns to everyone.
That thing was not an apostle.
Norma Selner, having fainted from the strain of channeling a prophetic vision, is now resting peacefully in a room. The once calm house of Sung Suho remains charged with unease, the gravity of Selner's vision echoing in everyone's minds. Now, it is Adam White's turn to speak. With a grim face and a locked black briefcase, the director of the U.S. Hunter Bureau prepares to reveal what brought him to Korea in the first place. Originally, this data was intended for Selner's eyes only, but circumstances have changed dramatically. He opens the case and solemnly addresses the room.
This situation with the North Pole is far worse than we anticipated.
Adam pulls out a high-security work tablet and initiates a program that projects a holographic world map into the air. This isn't just a map. It's the disaster management system, an AI-supported model developed using massive datasets collected from the World Hunter Association, including gate activity, dungeon incidents, and environmental collapses worldwide. Each glowing dot on the map represents a disaster, past or present, from dungeon breaks to abandoned zones overtaken by mana erosion. It's a living, breathing map of humanity's desperate battle against extinction.
This map is the best tool we have to prevent the end of the world.
But then, Adam switches the filter, adding climate data. Suddenly, the North Pole becomes a swirling white vortex, visible from space. It's a colossal spiral of clouds, slowly but deliberately rotating over the Arctic. Not random, not natural, but not magical either.
There's no mana flow being detected, which makes no sense at all.
Usually, phenomena of this scale are caused by high concentrations of mana. But here, nothing registers, and that's exactly what makes it so terrifying. Adam theorizes the vortex is the result of a dimensional rift, a gate of enormous proportions. However, if true, it violates several established magical principles. Gates always produce mana fluctuations. Yet this gate appears utterly silent. The logical conclusion: someone is deliberately masking it. Adam presents a likely culprit: Prime Minister Yuri Orlov of Russia, an S-rank hunter who built the fishbowl system, massive, self-contained cities protected by multi-layered S-rank barriers powered by external mana from essence stones. If anyone could hide a world-ending gate from the world, it's him.
He's probably using countless barriers to hide the gate's mana signature entirely.
But even worse, they can't investigate. Sending a hunter to the area would be treated as an act of war, like launching a nuclear missile into another superpower's territory.
That's why I came to Madame Selner. We needed insight without direct intervention.
With Selner's vision confirming the presence of an outer god, the situation has escalated to a whole new level. Suho, silent until now, finally speaks.
Then let's sneak in.
But Adam White immediately protests. Orlov's barriers aren't ordinary. They are national level and highly sensitive. Anything strong enough to bypass them would be instantly detected, and anything weak enough to go unnoticed wouldn't survive the incursion. Even shadow soldiers, which Suho had deployed across the world for rapid teleportation, can't infiltrate Russian territory. Orlov would sense them the moment they crossed the threshold. The silence in the room is tense, until Suho smiles.
If sneaking in is impossible, why not enter openly?
Everyone turns toward him, stunned. He slowly looks over at Thomas Andre, who meets his gaze with curiosity.
We just need someone very specific to not be detected.
A mischievous grin forms on Suho's face. Then he drops the line.
Since we're doing this for world peace, let's be a little shameless.
He references ancient heroes, masked protectors of Earth who never revealed their identities. He says with playful confidence, Thomas Andre, the former UFC's bad boy, now known as the King of Giants, can't help but burst into laughter.
That sounds fun. Let's do it.
It's official, they're going in. Far away in Moscow, the Russian Prime Minister Yuri Orlov senses the stirrings of power from the Arctic Gate. No longer content to wait, he leaves the Kremlin and begins running, on foot, toward the Arctic.
I've waited long enough.
Soldiers watch in stunned silence. Orlov, always surrounded by an entourage of luxury and power, now abandons it all. No helicopters, no motorcades. Just him, sprinting across the tundra like a man possessed. A divine light surrounds his body as he runs. Something has changed within him. Power from the unwithering spring, the massive project at the North Pole, is beginning to reshape him from within. His eyes glow, his skin hums with energy. He feels like a god. But that sense of superiority is about to be shattered. Back in Moscow, just after Orlov leaves, panic erupts. The soldiers are frantic. A towering armored figure, massive beyond comprehension, has suddenly emerged in front of the capital. Clad in shimmering spiritualized armor, the being exudes a crushing presence. It is Thomas Andre, fully transformed. Using the shadow exchange, he had teleported into place via a hidden shadow soldier waiting just outside the barrier. The beast lets out a laugh that shakes the clouds. Then he raises a hand the size of a skyscraper and brings it crashing down on the barrier. The entire capital quakes. One more blow follows. The barrier shatters. Far away, Orlov halts mid-stride.
What?
He turns and sees it. The massive silhouette of the King of Giants glowing through the ruin of his once impenetrable shield. Instinctively, his stomach drops. A primal fear surges through him, but he dismisses it with rage.
A magical beast dares to invade my kingdom.
He snarls and pivots, abandoning the Arctic and running straight back toward the capital, toward Thomas Andre. But something inside him, something deep, won't stop trembling. Even divine power may not be enough this time. A seismic catastrophe unfolds over the frozen landscape of Moscow. The colossal figure of Thomas Andre, now fully transformed into the King of Giants, stands before the once impenetrable fishbowl barrier that encased the Russian capital. With a thunderous crash, the final layer of Prime Minister Yuri Orlov's pride is obliterated. His beloved magical fortress reduced to scattered embers of blue flame. As fragments of mana-laced crystal rain like diamond dust, fear spreads like wildfire among the civilians below. They scream, they panic, but they also begin to wonder. The once untouchable god of their regime is nowhere to be seen. Was he fleeing? Did he know the end was coming? Even those indoctrinated by years of forced loyalty now begin to turn against him. Suddenly, a streak of light appears on the horizon. Yuri Orlov, dashing back toward the capital at supernatural speed. His face twisted in disbelief, he stares at the silhouette of Thomas towering over his city. The final protective barrier shatters before his very eyes, as if to announce, "You are no longer king here." Thomas laughs, booming and carefree,
So you finally arrived!
Orloff instantly recognizes that voice.
Thomas Andre, you madman.
This, by every international standard, is a declaration of war. For an American hunter to invade Russia is cause for nuclear retaliation. But Thomas couldn't care less.
Thomas, I know not who that is. I am merely a passing giant.
The mockery hits hard. Raging with divine energy, Orloff throws a barrier-augmented punch layered with S-rank enchantments and powered by the Unwithering Spring project. But Thomas flicks him away like a mosquito. Literally. Orloff crashes 10 kilometers away, coughing blood, confused and horrified.
This power, what in the hell?
It dawns on him. Thomas has transcended the level of a national-level hunter. His aura resonates with something ancient and terrible.
You dare call me an apostle? I am the monarch of conquest!
Orloff's pride cracks. His worldview shatters. Bleeding, humiliated, and furious, Orloff does the unthinkable. He prays.
Oh God, bless me. Grant me infinite power.
It's the first time he has ever offered such a plea. But this isn't a prayer born of humility. It is born of greed, of madness, of a lust for divinity. And the Unwithering Spring answers. Orloff's shirt rips open. His upper body is covered in magical circles, intricate tattoos that spin, pulse, and weave together like machinery. Each pattern pulls divine energy from the North Pole, refining it through runes of red, blue, yellow, and violet. Then, Orloff forms a divine construct, a sacred barrier spear, razor sharp and humming with lightning. He hurls it like a thunderbolt. Thomas meets it head-on with a massive punch. The clash tears through space until, just as the shockwave threatens to level Moscow, Harmacon, the shadow mage of Suho's legion, activates an instance dungeon, isolating the battlefield from the civilian world. Thomas grins, now unshackled.
Oh, ho, ho. Now, let's do this properly.
Orloff, fully consumed by the outer god's madness, unleashes his next spell. Prison of Dimensions. A six-sided compressive cage meant to crush even divine beings. Thomas? He flexes. Spiritualized darkness surges across his body. Crack. The prison shatters like glass. Even more desperate, Orloff deploys a reflective barrier, designed to absorb and return damage with double the force. Thomas smashes into it. The barrier trembles, redirects the energy, and slams it back into him. But instead of faltering,
amusing!
Thomas skids back, gouging deep trenches into the earth, and smiles. The battle escalates to a continental scale. Each collision collapses mountain ranges. Plains fold like paper. Weather systems tremble. Back at the Arctic Unwithering Spring, panic reigns inside the Russian secret base. The divine energy being drawn from the Void Gate has reached over 500% of the projected limit. Then, a technician screams. Everyone turns to see what he's pointing at. Beyond the gate, an eye. A gigantic, inorganic, alien eye stares back at them. Cold, calculating, inhuman. It's not just observing. It's interacting, like a scientist watching cells under a microscope. And when someone nearly speaks a forbidden name, he's silenced. A superior growls. They all know the legend. Speak the name of an outer god aloud, with enough emotion and preparation, and you invoke it. But it's already too late. The eye blinks. Lights flicker. Morse-like codes appear. Symbols carve themselves into the walls as if an invisible hand is drawing them. The divine energy surging to Orloff multiplies again. Technicians begin to lose their minds. One smashes his head against a wall repeatedly, blood spraying. Another begins chanting magical formulas, unwittingly feeding the god. Another, with a smile split ear to ear, whispers. Mist pours in. Blue mist. The sign of corruption. The base twists and bends. Hallways stretch infinitely. Rooms spiral. Gravity folds in odd directions. Director Petrov's final act of sanity is a transmission.
Emergency! The base is being corroded! Help!
Then he too falls, becoming a mist burn. As madness devours the Arctic base, salvation approaches. Sung Suho, alongside Gray, the newly ascended king of beasts, arrives at the perimeter. Though no energy or sound can be felt, Gray points confidently toward the hidden fortress. Suho nods.
Well, Mr. Thomas keeps Orlov busy. We end this quickly.
Suddenly, Arsha, the Void Weaver, emerges through a void insect.
Shall I pierce a hole?
With Suho's command, the void insects gnaw through the dimensional veil, revealing the corrupted base beyond. A pincer assault is now underway. Thomas Andre distracts the maddened God King Orlov. Sung Suho and the Shadow Legion infiltrate the core. And waiting beyond the gate is something that should not be named. Chapter 356 plunges us straight into the aftermath of a world on the edge, where reality and madness are no longer separate. With Thomas Andre holding off the maddened Prime Minister Yuri Orlov in Moscow, the responsibility of ending the looming cosmic threat falls to Sung Suho, Baru, Gray, and Arsha. Their entry point? The Arctic base once hidden beneath impossible magical barriers. Now revealed through Arsha's void insects, it appears less like a laboratory and more like a flesh-ridden threshold into another world. Suho steps forward, and immediately, the rules of Earth no longer apply. The air isn't cold. It's lukewarm, sticky, reeking of rotten meat, burnt metal, and something far worse. Dimensional corruption. The base pulses with a disturbing rhythm. Walls heave like living tissue, lights flicker, and every corner hums with the scent of something otherworldly. Baru, usually reserved in his interventions, steps forward with solemn resolve.
I shall protect thee!
This isn't just a threat. It's a realm steeped in the power of the outer god Itarim, a cosmic being of incomprehensible age and madness. Gray snarls. Something is approaching. Shuffling through the corridor comes a man in a lab coat, or what remains of him. His eye sockets are hollow, leaking blue smoke, his voice caught in a monotonous chant. He is a mistburn, a human consumed by the touch of an outer god. But unlike the ones Suho faced before, this one feels no pain. He's calm, controlled, empty. Baru discovers why.
A barrier is engraved upon his body.
Harmakan is summoned to investigate. His analysis? Orlov has created a micro-barrier that forcibly stitches the soul into its vessel like a magical bandage. A horrifying parallel to Candiaru's mummified servants in Amut's pyramid. Following Arsha's guidance, Suho and his team are led deeper, entering the control room. What they find is grotesque. Dozens of scientists, twisted, broken, and mindless, perform complex tasks at their terminals. Some are missing eyes. Others have bones exposed. One slams his head rhythmically against the wall, bleeding, but unfazed. And yet, all are in sync. They chant like fanatics, a cult of broken minds. And all the instruments blink erratically, red lights pulsing like a Morse code from hell. But Suho sees more than bodies. he sees souls, shattered, chained in agony, and burning from the inside, trapped by Orlov's barriers. He extends his hand and uses shadow extraction. One by one, their souls escape their bodies through the shadows. But they are not reborn as proper shadow soldiers. They are too damaged. Still writhing in pain, Suho activates the power unique to the guardian of the World Tree. The World Tree's purification turns his shadows pure white, calming the broken souls. The blue smoke that marked the mist burns seeps out, their pain finally silenced. Among them, a voice croaks.
Petrov, director of this place.
Suho gently questions him.
What happened here?
Through halting words and dying breath, Director Petrov reveals the truth behind Project Unwithering Spring. Prime Minister Orlov sought to become an apostle of an outer god. To do so, he experimented on human souls, attempting to contain divine energy via magical barriers. The success rate was abysmal. Countless died, their souls exploding. Yet eventually, Orlov succeeded. He engraved the final perfected barrier on himself. And now, as a result, Orlov is fighting toe-to-toe with Thomas Andrei. But Petrov warns, there's more.
The patterns on the walls. We didn't draw those. Something used our bodies to draw them.
The symbols covering the base, on walls, floors, ceilings, weren't human-made. They were drawn by some other will, using the researchers as living conduits. That will belonged to Itarim. The outer god, Itarim, has been using Orlov as a bridge, not just to grant power, but to cross into this world. Suho throws open the final doors of the base. Before him lies a massive dimensional gate, its vortex spiraling endlessly. And within it, an eye, a titanic divine eye, identical to the one Norma Selner had seen in her vision, now stares at Suho. All around it, mist burns kneel and chant in prayer. And then, the eye moves.
Oh.
A voice not made of sound penetrates Suho's mind. It doesn't speak words. It imprints intent directly onto his soul.
Interesting.
Itarim has noticed him. What was once observation becomes interest. That interest turns into action. A cosmic will descends, swift, absolute, inescapable. It is an act of possession. Itarim has found a better vessel than Orlov, Sung Suho. Crack! Suho's spirit buckles beneath the weight of an entity not meant for this reality. A being who has seen stars die and universes crumble now seeks to invade Suho's soul. But just before it can consume him, Beru, the first and most loyal of Suho's shadows, spreads his wings, unleashing all the power he's ever stored.
I shall block it!
His final vow, his greatest act. Beru, once the Ant King, now becomes the last wall between Suho and annihilation. The chapter explodes into action in Russia, as the earth-shattering battle between Yuri Orlov and Thomas Andrei, now awakened as the monarch of conquest, enters its most devastating phase. Orlov, infused with endless divine power granted by the outer god Itarim, is drunk on his success.
I have truly achieved it.
As a shining godlike aura surrounds him, he cackles maniacally, standing proud amid a battlefield laid to waste. Even though Thomas Andrei has transformed into a titanic king of giants, Orlov blocks his blows with layered S-rank barriers, normally mortal constructs, but now divine conduits for his unwithering spring. This isn't just a defense, it's a declaration.
The Unwithering Spring is finally complete.
A limitless well of divine energy pours into Orlov, refueling him even after Thomas's monstrous attacks. He's no longer just a powerful awakened human. He's trying to be something beyond that. Soaring into the sky, Orlov shouts to the heavens.
Now I no longer need to bow and scrape before the apostles!
He sharpens his barriers into blades and launches an indiscriminate assault across Thomas's gigantic body. His strikes tear across the monarch's skin, but Thomas doesn't flinch. As Orlov's frenzy escalates, so does his arrogance. In his mind, all his past humiliations, the begging, the outer god cult's servitude, the snide glances from the world, are being erased by this one moment of glory.
I shall show the entire world me, Yuri Orlov, overwhelming Thomas Andre.
He claims the divine power of Itarim as his own.
Now I have truly become an apostle with infinite power.
But then, in stark contrast to Orlov's mania, Thomas Andre simply clicks his tongue.
How childish.
Despite being battered, despite the spectacle, he doesn't seem fazed. A giant foot crashes down, launching shockwaves across the landscape. His massive body dwarfs Orlov, and yet he speaks to him like he's nothing more than a brat throwing a tantrum.
World conquest, that's your dream. After all that power, that's all you can think of.
Orlov is stunned. He thought he was winning. He thought he had the upper hand. But that illusion is shattered as Thomas's true aura floods the battlefield.
Just die.
He steps down. Again, and again, and again. Each stomp shakes the earth, crushing Orlov's layered barriers like paper under an avalanche. The once impenetrable fishbowl he'd built for himself begins to collapse. Boom, boom, crack, crack. And through it all, Orlov's tiny screams echo faintly as he is crushed again and again by Thomas's unstoppable might. Then, silence. Thomas lifts his foot.
Is it over? That was all he amounted to?
Orlov lies in a pulped mess, completely unrecognizable. The monarch of conquest scoffs at how anticlimactic it all was. But something's wrong. The body begins to float. Golden divine energy flows out of the corpse, no longer wild and destructive, but orderly, purposeful. And then, the flattened corpse speaks. Its voice is not human. Thomas's eyes widen in disbelief. The divine energy inside the corpse begins reassembling the barrier armor around it, not just as a shield, but as a vessel, a human-shaped container formed from magic, housing something otherworldly. Inside the container, a writhing mass of mud-like flesh, and it speaks in that same monotone voice. Suddenly, Thomas understands. Through the primordial darkness that dwells in him, a realization dawns. Monarchs once channeled this same force. It speaks now to him as it did in ancient times.
This wasn't a fight. This was a ritual.
A prayer, a wish, a vessel, a sacrifice.
Don't tell me this guy was a sacrifice for Itarim.
Thomas tries to warn Suho, desperately hoping the message will reach him through the Shadow Soldier system.
This isn't over. He was a gateway. This was for Advent.
And he's right. In death, Yuri Orlov becomes a perfect sacrifice. A corpse holding an absurd amount of divine power directly gifted by an outer god. This power doesn't die with him. Instead, it returns to Itarim, and with it, the door to Earth swings open wider than ever before. Back at the Arctic base, Suho still stands in front of the massive dimensional rift, staring at the colossal eye of Itarim peering into our world. And the eye sees him. This single word carries more weight than 1,000 battles. Itarim, a being who has watched countless universes be born and die, who feels no attachment to creation, life, or order, finds Sung Suho interesting. For an immortal outer god, to find something interesting is a cosmic event. It means total focus. And now Earth feels that focus. He who fights with monsters should be careful lest he thereby become a monster. The skies begin to crack like glass. All around the world, humans look up and witness a fracture in the sky, like a mirror shattering. And through that crack, hell, a sky of red and toxic purple. Endless black rain, not water, but oozing blood-like liquid. A dimension warped and sickened, where reason breaks and monsters reign. Even looking upon it makes people vomit. Fear hits instinctually, bypassing logic, language, or comprehension. This is a place that was never meant to be seen. And what do they see? Gigantic centipedes crawling like mountains. Enormous spiders spinning colossal webs lined with corpses. Apostles, dozens, hundreds, floating like divine reapers. And then it becomes clear. These are the residents of Itarim's world. What Earth faces now isn't just an invasion, it's advent. The chapter begins with Earth itself holding its breath. All across the world, from the skyscrapers of Seoul to Times Square in New York and the towers of Dubai, people stare up in disbelief. The sky is cracking like glass, revealing not stars or clouds, but hell. From the fractures in the atmosphere emerges a horrifying dimension, a landscape drenched in blood red and toxic purple hues, where monsters writhe like parasites, and the apostles that once terrorized humanity swarm like insects. And at the center of it all, a colossal, unblinking eye, the eye of Itarim, an eye that doesn't merely look, it invades. Its gaze is so overwhelming, so all-consuming, that it skips the mind and goes straight for the soul. People feel it before they understand it. But not a God of comfort or salvation, a God of absolute indifference, one who watches, not to protect, but to observe and consume. And then the confusion deepens. TVs, satellites, smartphones, cameras, nothing can capture the image. The hellscape that stretches above them is invisible to machines. Broadcasters are forced to repeat a chilling truth. No abnormal phenomena are being detected. The sky is still blue. The apocalypse is real, but only to the living. This is no physical invasion. This is fear imprinted directly onto the soul, an ability that bypasses technology and touches only life. A divine phenomenon wrought by an unfathomable being. And yet, even amidst this despair, humanity notices something. As if the eye of God were now a screen, the dimensional rift begins projecting a battle. One unfolding in the hidden Arctic base. There, standing tall against the eye, is a silhouette engulfed in black aura. Beside him, a towering ant-shaped warrior with wings. Behind them, a beautiful woman leading a swarm of insects, the new queen bee. The image shocks the world. And then, someone speaks his name. That one whisper turns into a wave. Hope, thought long dead, flickers back to life. All over the world, from every continent, his name rises like a chant. Sung Suho isn't just a hunter now. He is Earth's last stand, the only human brave or foolish enough to stare into the eye of a god. While the world watches with bated breath, Beru steps forward. Since their return to Earth, Suho had quietly been preparing Beru for this exact moment. Through Adam White, Suho secured a stockpile of essence stones from the U.S. Hunter Bureau, feeding Beru relentlessly to restore his lost strength. Now, that preparation pays off. Beru, level max. Rank Marshall. With a radiant flash, Beru's suppressed power finally returns. Fwaa! His massive wings unfurl. His eyes burn with mana. His mana explodes in a tsunami of force. And his voice, no longer fussy or subservient, becomes the voice of a war veteran, forged on interstellar battlefields.
The one who dares to touch our young master, I shall personally tear you limb from limb!
This is no longer Beru the Shadow Ant. This is Beru, Marshal of the Shadow Legion. The Eye of Itarim responds, not with words, but with violence. From the sky, an avalanche of divine gaze descends. Shui Ik, thousands, millions of transparent, deadly blades of gaze streak down at impossible angles. These are not beams of energy. They are the literal lines of vision from the eye, each one imbued with Itarim's divine authority. Where they land, space itself tears apart. The Arctic base begins to disintegrate. The ice shelf of the North Pole cracks like dry parchment. And yet, Beru doesn't dodge. To do so would be to expose Sung Suho. So instead, Beru calls to his master.
Young master, watch my movements closely. This is my final lesson.
In the midst of this divine storm,
Young master's slaughter skill is a fake.
Beru offers Suho a revelation. Suho is stunned, but Beru explains Suho's version was acquired through a rune stone granted by Sung Jinwoo. But the true skill, the one mastered by Sung Jinwoo, the original Shadow Monarch, began not with brute force, but with technique. Skill, vital strike, level 1. It wasn't a hack and slash. It was precise, surgical, elegant brutality. And who better to teach it than the very shadow soldier who trained with Jinwoo for years?
Therefore, I shall show you the true slaughter, which I have mastered with my own body.
Beru's claws become like daggers, slicing through Itarim's attacks with the rhythm of a maestro. He doesn't just parry, he dismantles. Each slash is a lesson, each movement a story. This is a shadow's final gift to his master. But Itarim is not impressed.
Struggle some more, insect.
The eye expands. It grows larger, more detailed, becoming not just an observer, but a more active force. Rumble. Suddenly, a great sword of gaze descends from the sky. So massive, it cleaves space itself. The Arctic rift howls in agony as reality fractures. But Beru is still smiling.
You call me insect? Then remember my name. I am Beru, Marshal of the Shadow Legion, warlord of the final front lines against the gods.
The chapter opens mid-battle, as Marshal Beru, Sung Jinwoo's most ferocious shadow, stands defiant before the eye of Itarim, an outer god. But before we dive into the action, the narrative zooms out and gives us a glimpse into Beru's dark and horrifying past. Not the one on Earth, but one forged in the outer universe during the war against the outer gods. Back then, Beru wasn't just a loyal ant knight. He was the battlefield predator. While Jinwoo harvested souls to grow his army, Beru feasted on the husks, devouring enemy corpses mid-combat, chewing their remains and absorbing their power. He wasn't just a fighter. He was a biological weapon, a living record of the outer god's abilities, tactics, and weaknesses. And so, Beru now stands on Earth, not just as a soldier, but as a living encyclopedia of outer god annihilation.
Do you know, oh outer god, just how many dregs of your kind I have chewed and swallowed until now?
The madness in Beru's eyes swells. Mana of every color explodes around him, red, blue, gold, and violet, reflecting the chaos of the cosmos he consumed. Even Itarim's eye flickers in momentary confusion. That energy, it feels familiar, and it should. Because Beru didn't just absorb their power, he learned it, perfected it, weaponized it. Beru unleashes the technique that Jinwoo once mastered, Vital Strike. This skill, unlike the crude slaughters Suho once used, strikes only vital points. It's precise, deadly, and elegant. A calculated form of butchery.
Not just swinging daggers fast. The beginning of true slaughter is striking where it matters.
And just like that, Beru begins to tear through the outer god's gaze-based attacks, slicing through divine energy like a blender through fog. Blades clash like star trails. Divine vision warps and shatters. The battlefield becomes a symphony of light and destruction. And then, something changes. The world watches. Earth's entire population, linked through the gaze, witnesses Beru's valor. What was meant to instill fear now fuels inspiration. Beru, the ant once feared as a monster, becomes the symbol of defiance, a living monument to courage, hope, and the fighting spirit of Earth. And yet, this adoration does not go unnoticed. Humiliated, Itarim becomes enraged. The Earth trembles. Dimensional shockwaves crack the sky. Billions of lives feel the pressure of divine wrath. Even awakened beings collapse from fear. But the majority do not yield. Why? Because they've all played the Tower of Trials. They've walked in Sung Jinwoo's footsteps. Each player, each awakened being, becomes a mental soldier, weathering the storm, grounding themselves in Suho's mission. Though they are powerless, they refuse to look away. And then, boom, a new shadow falls across the battlefield. Thomas Andre has arrived. The Monarch of Conquest, former player number 2 in the Tower of Trials, King of Giants, and one of the last remaining monarchs to join Suho's final plan. Upon arrival, he quickly assesses the battlefield. The Arctic base is destroyed. Beru is holding the line, barely. Suho is hidden, thanks to Beru's shielding, safe in the blind spot beneath the divine gaze. Thomas knows this is unsustainable. The god is toying with Earth. This is just a single eye, not the main body. The worst is yet to come. But Thomas doesn't panic. Instead, he smiles.
Hey, didn't you feel something strange? You're slow on the uptake. Maybe because you only have one eye?
The outer god pauses. What is he talking about?
The monarchs of this dimension. Where do you think they are now?
Thomas's arrival is the final piece. As Beru gives way, pushed back by the eye's intensifying power, a veil is lifted. And behind him, every monarch of this world gathered in one place. Each a successor of Nidhogg's trial, each bearing the primordial darkness, each united behind a single figure, Sung Suho. The outer god's eye widens in horror. Suho steps forward. His eyes glow white. Skill, Monarch's domain, activated. From his feet spreads a pure white shadow, an abyss not of darkness, but of cleansing oblivion, born from the world tree itself.
Domain expansion. Be careful when you gaze into a monster. If you gaze long into an abyss, the abyss also gazes into you. From now on, I shall become your white abyss.